Okay, we'd like to thank everybody for waiting if they are, and we'll start this meeting of the Templeton Community Preservation Committee. December 12th, 2024. First item of business is to discuss the minutes. The last time we had a meeting was September 12th. We had a couple of scheduling flukins, so here we are today. We have some minutes that Jessica has sent to us and in your packet as well. If everybody's had a chance to review it, we can entertain a motion, or we can discuss or wait, whatever.
We pass them, well, pass the minutes.
Okay, motion made to accept the minutes as presented. And is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I've just gone through these again. Looks fine to me. So therefore, we'll just do an overall. Any other discussion? No. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, thank you very much. Next item is the admin update.
All right, admin update. So Grange Hall update from Narragansett Historical Society and Brian Tangway, which was the plaque was delivered last week. That's the extra one that he provided us that had more of the history on it. Also, the lift was installed on Monday. I believe Mr. Henshaw saw it.
Yep, I and Mike Dixon both went there. We saw the plaque and we saw the lift being installed. It's very nice.
He also wanted to let you know that a private grant came through at the end of November for $40,000 to start the driveway and prepare the area for parking. Estimated 15 spots out back and up front combined.
And of course, that's critical because now you'll actually have access to the handicapped access, rather than going over the overload.
Yep. I spoke to Brian this morning and I asked him about his accounts. We can touch base on it more under finances and projects, but he said for the drapes to keep open and the lift to keep open, but he is done with the bathroom and are ready for you to close out that account for the balance that's left in that. That's the Grange. Next update I have for you is on the First Church. I heard from Dave Houghton that he spoke to his Skyline Engineering and they spoke several times over the summer and the fall. And now that the weddings are over, they're going to begin the process and get the First Church scheduled for spring 2025. Apparently the lift that they're using is in Winchington, and rest assured the First Church will not be leaving the 331.7 on the table. And thank you for all your support.
Yeah, and we're not worried that they're not gonna do the project
Yeah.
or spend the money, but we
Yeah.
do want to meet with them before there's any commitment of the
Correct.
contract to the.
Yep. Next update is on emergency management building, the engineered plans. Mike was asking about what the progress is on this, and since that project is under $10,000, it does not need to go out to bid. So the town administrator has reached out to Andrew Kanata to see if he would like to do the engineering services for it. Andrew Kanata was the guy who he designed River's Edge. He designed Houghton Park along with the other guy, and I think he did the kitchen, the senior center, or he's contracted for that one. So he's done a few in town already, and he's asked to quote this one as well. So progress on that. John and I got an update from Dwelly Farm. Carrie might know some of this, but they said since the last request for reimbursement in April, much work has been done at Dwelly Farm. They had many volunteers out at the site helping work with the trail, native plantings, and invasive plant removal. They welcomed students from Cushing Academy, where 24 students and 4 staff members worked for 4 hours planting native seeds, completing trash cleanup, and creating stabilized gravel path. She talks about all the other volunteers that they had. Yep. And then she goes on to say on the other side of, so really good things going on there, volunteer work, invasive plant removal, plantings, all the good stuff. And then on the other side of things, she said that they're sad to say, reiterating what Carrie said at one of our last meetings, that the invasive plant management contractor decided not to continue, so that they're actively looking for somebody else to do that. But they submitted invoices, and so that project is moving forward as well. And then the only other update I have is to let you all know that the Baldwinville Elementary School Rehabilitation Project, I did process their building permit application fee this week. So that alone closed out one project account.
Yeah, that was like 267,000 or something,
It was 267,600, yes. Yep.
because there's gonna be a lot of inspectional services
Yep.
required for that.
And they got another, and then we issued another payment for the infrastructure work. So they essentially hopped on board to the Maple Street neighborhood reconstruction project. Since they were ripping up the road to do that infrastructure work, it was cheaper for them to jump on and say, this is what we need at the site, hookups and stuff like that. So they asked for some of the CPC funds to be used to pay for the infrastructure work, since that was not expected.
Yeah, that was good and timely because, they jumped right on it and made sure that, so that was $40,000 towards infrastructure.
Yep.
So that's why 300,000 has already been expended.
So good stuff.
Any idea about starting work on the inside or starting work on the construction?
So the building permit just got the fee paid. So all of the inspectors have been reviewing each part of the application. They needed that approved before they needed the approved application to send it to the state. So they're hoping for spring as well.
Spring, okay.
Just hoping to line up everything during the winter months.
We're talking about
The Baldwinville Elementary School rehab
Right.
project.
they didn't buy the building yet, though.
Did it close?
As far as I know, they've closed.
Oh, it did? They never did an update. I didn't see it at the selectmen.
I can follow up on that if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that was a
They spent
discussion
money
about,
for the account, but
Yep.
their project is the building, and they didn't buy the building, and that's kind of like surprising to me, that's all. That's why I was like, are we talking about what I
Yep.
thought we talked? I got a little confused. Okay.
All right, I'm good.
and just one other update is that the Boynton Library is also using that same engineering firm there, Andrew Kanata.
Oh, okay.
To do the study for the renovation work there, and so the town has a contract for $7,800 with them to come up with the plans for what they will do going forward to
Nice.
renovate the library.
Nice.
And of course, they have 70,000 in CPC money, and then they also have the donation from the Nordford's family to do work there. And they've already scoped out the electrical and other things like that. So those things, no action will happen before the study is complete. So we'll see all that.
Very good.
Okay, town meeting results.
So the next thing in your packet, you'll see I provided some snapshots on town meeting results from first from May 15th, 2024, which is an FY 24, just because it's important when you guys talk about your state match to have that's what the breakdown was and what to expect. And also that meeting showed the Stone Bridge question that didn't pass. The back of that is fall town meeting that just occurred this past October, and how the Main Street Bridge debt exclusion passed, but it failed at the polls. And then right below that is the state match information.
Okay, so we weren't talking about the other one because that wasn't really a CPC related one that we had just last week. But this is good information to have because it segues into the finances.
Correct, yes, yep.
So can we segue into that?
Yep.
So what I would like to point out is that, as it's noted here, the state match that we received November 15th was 60.3%. Last year when we calculated our budget, so the assessors do a CP1 report, which is the total surcharges that are assessed to the town, less the abatements, which is about $15,000 a year. And that is the number of dollars that the state uses as the reference for the match as they go through their formula to figure out what percentage there will be based on the available funds. the initial match was, 38% or some number, I don't even remember. And then we, as a 3% community, get additional rounds of funding, because we're small, because we're poor. We've gotten 100% many years. Last year, we got 72%, 78%. Let's see, I have it down somewhere. So anyway, we estimated that we were gonna get a 72% match. We only got a 60% match. That equates to $30,000 in revenue this year that we had projected we would get last year that we're not getting this year, if everybody pays all their bills. So that's just something to keep in mind. We will be conservative again when we come up with our figure for next year's appropriation. So, this article that Jessica showed that had the $465,000, that equates to what we had from the assessors of let's see, 270,000 plus what would have been plus 163,000 only comes out to 431,000, and that's why we're $31,000 less than what we project. Now, the reality is we get money coming in all year because people pay their taxes or not, usually on a quarterly basis. And then they update this, and then we get the big lump sum of CPA match money on November 15th. And it seems like we got a little catch up to do in terms of the revenue. Let's see can we figure that out on this sheet?
Yep, so I want to add on right onto that sentence that the town accountant said that it looks like the funding came in on November 15th, 163,435. And she told me that the November receipts will be posted next week. So that match, that November 15th one, is not in your reports.
The
the
November
match.
15th state match, nor
November
the
15th
November-
state match is not in your reports. No.
Okay, so that's
No.
good to know because it did look a little light.
Yep.
Plus, November is a payment month. November 1st is a due date, so
Yep.
we should have a significant increase by the
Yep.
next time we look at this.
Yep.
So they haven't
So they-
updated you,
Correct.
like they did in Parks and Rec, because ours is like,
Yep.
yeah, we have a lot, we.
That looks like funding came in on
falling
November
down.
15th and the November receipts will be posted likely next week, she said.
She said it's gonna take some time
Yeah.
to fix some of these accounts.
So just so you know, it's not in there.
She knows what the numbers are. She showed me a printout of something else that shows my real number, but on the BOV, it doesn't show it.
Yeah.
So, because I got like panicky.
As well, yeah. So don't
Yeah, so we have a new accountant and she's seems like a wonderful person who has good experience and has worked in the CPA community as well. So we're fortunate to have her
Yeah.
going forward. But of course, whenever there's a transition in our systems and blah, 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 luckily Jessica can draw.
She has it in one
Reports.
set of the reports, but the other one that we all get, it's not reflected in those sets of reports yet.
Yeah,
But she's gotta transfer them, update those systems.
Yep.
That's what she told me.
So Jessica has provided, the balances of the funds. One thing to note is that there was an error on the boldface one that you see where it shows 34,000 in Scout Hall. That really needs to be 34,000 in the Stone Bridge line, and because the Scout Hall is zero.
Yep.
Um,
so on that page, that's the report pulled from Vadar. So I really pushed and tried to get some information and answers for you guys on the buckets. So even though those four show as negatives, you have that money sitting there and that money is not allocated to projects yet. The page that's right behind it, I was able to run a detail, which I wasn't privy to before, but if you look, essentially it's providing a breakdown for each of the reserved counts. It's the one that looks like this, the one that's sideways.
Oh.
So this is a report that the town accountant ran that showed me and proved to me that even though they're shown as negatives, it's in an accounting world, they call it deposits, I guess, and that's why it's negative. But that is your money to spend. That's not been allocated to projects below. So you truly have 67 in housing, you truly have 45,000 in historic, 71,000 in open space, and 436,000 in the undesignated and the 17 in the admin account.
With the caveat being that the town may not have collected all that money yet because we're only halfway through the year.
That is all sitting there, she said.
Yeah.
That is all sitting there. There's
Okay,
no
so that's
there's no
actual-
caveat on that. So the revenue that you're talking about, John, is line 3 where it says actual revenues, 245,000 has only come in yet. More to come in. So if you look down, revenue breakdown, you can see CPA taxes for 2024, 2025. It has not all come in yet. That revenue will continue to go up every time somebody pays taxes. But your buckets are no caveat. That's what exists
Okay.
there. And this ledger proves that that's what's in there for you to choose projects to give to.
Okay, so tonight we're not voting on anything for the town meeting. That's something we'll do at January and or February meeting. But we are gonna we do need to start thinking and figuring out what we're gonna propose, put forward to the town this year. And the closing out of some of these accounts could happen, like Brian has said, that the Grange Hall bathrooms could be closed.
Yes.
Now, the only thing is that we may not have seen the final, I guess that 2853 is the sign. Under the
Where am I looking?
under the Grange Hall bathrooms, expended. Looks like on this sheet, on the summary.
On the Grange Hall bathrooms for 2310. Yep, that was another sign.
Okay.
Yep.
So that means that there's probably $10,000 in there that they're gonna revert back to the town.
He said revert it. He said today to revert
I
it.
just wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything that hadn't been. that had
Nope,
spent-
and honestly, their Grange Hall signs cover the Grange Hall activities. So it covers the lift and it covers the drapes and it covers so they're fine on signs. That one's all set. And John, the only caveat is on those buckets is that it should get that additional 60% when she posts November. So those actually will go up by whatever that number you gave.
Yeah, so our January meeting will have.
Yeah.
Everything hopefully will be up. to
Another
scratch.
163, is
Yeah,
that what you mean?
That number, Carrie, thank you. Sorry. 163,000, those buckets will go up appropriately by their percentages.
Okay, so the other question that we had too, I guess, like the tennis courts thing, that you're just waiting for a sign is the last item on that.
I just have to get, because you wanted me to find one that I could have things added on, like it's tombstone or something, so I gotta go back out and work for another company that does that kind of work. So I just been really busy, so I haven't been focusing.
Yeah, it's
on
not
it.
a top priority. It's fine. We
Start
we
to
won't
slow
close
down
it out.
too,
Yeah.
we should figure that out.
Okay, and so, the whole, then, we're gonna have a chance to talk about anything else we want to, but one other thing to discuss is just to kind of update the whole Stone Bridge thing. We funded projects down there with the anticipation that we could put a boat launch. First, we did an engineering study to kind of say what could happen down there, whether it's what would it cost for a full bridge, a half bridge, a walking bridge, a no bridge. And then we kind of went forward seeking money towards, the boat launch, the passive recreation and a walking bridge. But then the town came around and said, hey, we never really abandoned the road. So everything went in limbo. So that's why we've had 2 different town meetings where we're just kind of getting, opinion, anecdotal, non-binding referendum. Meanwhile, and because the question will be is like, okay, if we're not doing anything, we're getting to a point where we don't have a huge surplus of unavailable funds. We might want to close that down if we're never going to do it. However, we just learned today that Adam is appointing a Stonebridge study group to kind of look at what might happen. And so let's see. So this is from Adam. Good day. I've been approached by concerned citizens relative to the Stonebridge project. On this day, I'm appointing the following individuals to serve on this study group: Mark Machete, Glenn Radigan, Tom Hurd, Bob Zozik, and Grace Curry. Grace Curry is, of course, our grant writer. So they're going to be looking at something related to Stonebridge. If it goes back to trying to rebuild the bridge so people can drive over it, then we may not
We're
have
out.
any
Yeah.
part of that, because the only things that we can do obviously are passive recreation and open space that align with the community preservation. Now, there could be some trail or some component of whatever they do that would be qualified to that. We'd have to review what we actually past the town meeting, so I think it's still gonna be in limbo, and hopefully we'll get an update of what they're really intending to do. When they're gonna meet.
They're gonna make a committee, then they should be able to tell us what the scope of it is. Are they gonna be looking at anything walking, or if they're just looking at driving? You know, we know from the floor that everybody wants driving, they don't want walking. I went to the mic and said you could do a combo, like, like a walk, and people didn't want that. They don't want anything. They just want a road.
Well, chances are, because, the 1800s bridge wasn't really approved by DEP or anybody. So a new bridge over a new waterway would likely have a walking path required.
I would think so too, yeah.
Yeah,
Or it could be like the one over there in Bonneville where they had a walking bridge path halfway over the bridge.
would it not be advisable to try to work on a plan that we might wanna suggest with whatever they propose?
Yeah, we have no idea what the scope or function of this group
Yeah, I
is, but
know.
they're studying it,
You
so.
have to keep up with whatever they're planning to do.
Well, and we certainly should find out, what, if they want to hear from us or.
But I think you'd have to kind of incorporate one with the other.
Well, the email that John read, the question was given to me if the CPC funds for Stonebridge could be used for a new bridge. And my response after research was it can't be used for a vehicular bridge. More specifically, I attached in your packets the Stonebridge page, which pulls the articles from which they were adopted in 2019 and 2020. And the last word on them, as you'll read, it says, of the Stone Bridge on Stonebridge Road for open space and recreational use. That alone means those specific monies that you guys have reserved couldn't be used on a vehicular bridge anyway.
Right, not
So-
to mention that's not allowed, but,
Not to mention, that's not allowed anyway.
I mean, they won't even
so-
do sidewalks.
Yeah, you can't do it like even an adding piece to the side of it,
No.
I would consider it a sidewalk, yeah, so you can't even.
So
touch it.
then the question is, could you use that CPC money for recreation outside of a bridge? Could you create, didn't we all talk about like boat launch and like a
Portland, yeah.
fishing? Could you even do that anyway, not owning the land around the bridge?
We don't really know the exact lay of the land of what the town owns, but it's my recollection that if you were going towards Phillipston on the
Yeah.
left-hand side, the town owns, that's where we were talking about the boat launch
Boat
being.
launch.
Now,
And
I
then
mean,
over and on the left side is the state. Right?
Mhm.
If the Phillipston side to the left before the house, that's the state of Massachusetts owns that. But I don't think you were thinking of recreation on that side, right? You're thinking it more of on the,
Originally, that's what we had been
Right.
thinking, but, there is some private land on the right, on the other side, on the right. There, it does connect over to the Phillipston Wildlife Area. But there is, so who knows? We'll just have to stay tuned.
well, here's a question for you all, since I wasn't around then. Looking at these articles that I gave you, it says that the person to expend them is the selectman each time. Does the selectmen know what they wanted to do with this money at the time? Right, because
Well-
usually when we approve projects, it says like Parks and Rec, or it says DPW, or it
Right, this was
says, well,
before
you know what I mean?
Bob was here.
Uh,
So
Okay.
it would be appropriate that the select board, as the overseers of the DPW, would be the appropriate
Got it.
party. But I can't say, they just as they were for Scout Hall.
got it.
But whether that was, because they had a great plan, no, but we did spend the money, the initial money. And found that these are the scenarios and these are the estimated costs, like up to $900,000 to do a true grade bridge.
Yeah.
Now, because the question in there was, okay, if it's a historic bridge, couldn't you use CPC money? Well, it's not a historic bridge anymore. Because number one, there is no bridge, but number two, you can't, it was a stone bridge.
And you
And
can't,
if
and you can't build that per standards now.
Yeah. So we'll certainly be happy to, listen or support whatever they are thinking. That, it could be that people are like, oh, well, we got all that money, well, CPA money, why don't we just rebuild a bridge with it? Number one, we don't have that much money, and number two, it's not allowed. So
What
see
can
what
you do with
happens.
that amount of money?
put it back.
Yeah, we could do a lot of stuff with all that stuff.
Yep.
Not just that we can.
Okay, so that's all I needed to say about that. Does anybody else want to say anything more about this for now? So we'll just keep rolling. So we've kind of given a review of the current projects already. There are a couple other things that we needed to bring up. One was specific to the Baptist Common project. I'm sure all of you have seen how that looks down there, and we've heard that TCTV is even gonna do a little review of it for the you know, kind of overview of it, but there are funds remaining in there, and there has been discussion as to whether we should put additional fencing up there. You know, we've got the split rail fence.
So that is this in your packet, the colored map. Dennis,
Yep.
this one. Yep, this one. There you go, you got it. We got 6 packets tonight, team. There we go. So Baptist Common Cemetery, do you want more fencing or do you want to close the project to count out? Essentially, there is $17,000 remaining. And DPS Director Bob got a quote for $7,500 to provide more fencing. It would add 20 feet each to the existing trail, and it would provide a definitive line between the neighboring house and the cemetery, which you know, you all paid a surveyor for.
So are we saying just extending what exists now towards Boldenville Road?
Yeah, that's what it says. There's 20 feet more on each side. Because it was such a far walk from the parking area. And then it says 130 feet from kind of where it meets, and then 190 feet back of the neighboring house.
Yeah, so there is fencing to suggest that would be in the back, so not contiguous to the fencing that exists, but really that on the boundaries. Is that also by your house?
Yeah, that's behind, right, it's right behind my house. It sets over by Johnny Brush's land and goes all the way with the guy beside me.
Which is basically along the stone wall?
Well, no, it's there actually is nothing there. It's just a tree line behind my house.
Okay. So that would define what the town land is for
Right.
those.
For the cemetery.
And once it goes out behind his house, it comes up this way. Half of his house is basically there.
Yeah, it's on the map.
So-
Surveyed where the.
Right.
Oh, I see. There's the added 20 feet.
Yep.
I mean, my opinion on the 20 feet is why bother? I mean, you know, I could walk the extra 20 without a handrail. Because it does, now then he's got, because if the neighbor wants to mow that, or if the town needs to mow it, has that been approached as to the mowing?
Well, maybe than that, the guy next door tends to blow all his leaves out there, and he tends to put junk out there all the time. That's why the signs were put up. That nobody's to throw anything on the town property.
Yeah. And it clearly delineates where the boundary is with those blocks.
Right.
But he has historically mowed that as if it were his lawn.
Yeah.
Is he no longer gonna do that?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. He knows that that's what it is, but he knows he's one of these guys who figures, what the heck, you know. As of right now, like I said, he's been blowing all the leaves out there. And the way that was set up before zoning, they built his garage is only 3 feet from the boundary line, my boundary line.
Yeah, there's a lot of instances that.
There's a
around
lot of
that.
problems with that area.
Not unique there, but
Well, either way, the
The fence-
cemetery is gonna be there forever,
Is
so.
the fence needed? Is it something that's gonna be more of a problem?
It's-
with
it's just-
The residents that have bought it, is it gonna be more of an issue for them?
I guess the thought for you to think of is that, and I don't care either way, whatever you want to do, but like, they're not gonna be those residents forever, but
Right.
the cemetery will be. So is this the time to add the fencing to delineate where the
fencing.
cemetery boundary is? Or are you guys happy with the project as it is and then close it? Don't matter to me, but
do you
there's
wanna just-
17,000 left. You want to use it for something else, or is this the opportunity for
Or
the?
do you just want to put up that one right here on the other guy's land? And just put maybe one fence up to here to let him know, or, you know, that's up to you.
Yeah, we're
There
not
is a-
putting anything on his land, but defining
Yeah,
his land.
defining.
Behind his land, yeah, right.
Defining the
That
town
would
land.
be, that would be right behind his land, because he's got all those trees that are, or bushes that are right there. Okay. And then it comes up to behind my line, my house. But as you can see, there's only about 7 feet. But,
George,
but he's got all his drain pipes and all the stuff off the garage and the house going right into that area right back there, because they previous owners put a pipe that goes across that they eventually is gonna fall in and way over on the other side, but
Yeah, I mean, like Jessica's point is valid that, the cemetery is always gonna be there,
yeah,
people.
do they
come and
want,
go.
do they want to definitely just define his land so that he's not doing what he's doing,
I mean, it's now or never really, because we're not gonna have another project like this.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
this specific.
So there's 17, so.
There's 17 left.
And
And
like
then-
I said, when I first
back.
moved in, back in '68, the father side over near Johnny's land had maybe 30 feet of fencing that was still sitting there. But the cemetery department took it out of there because it was just laying down on the ground. There's nothing ever been done with it since.
I make a motion, so we get the extra fencing.
I second.
Okay, any other discussion? Dennis, you wanted to say something?
Well, this is
Yeah.
pressure treated wood. With the life expectancy of how much?
Well, it would be just like how they
Yeah, it
got the
is
new
pressure
fence on
treated.
the back, other side.
It's the same as the other one, it's pressure treated split rail
Yeah,
fencing.
but it would only be one line instead of having a double line. You'd only have the one line.
We probably should distinguish it above the line.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote, starting with Candace. Carrie, George,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Dennis,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Joanne.
Yes.
Okay, unanimous. We will go forward as proposed by Mr. Zozick, and then we will look to wrap that project up
Sounds good.
whenever he's done, but
Yep.
obviously he might not get to that till spring.
The next one is Town Hall Cupola sign, so that in your packet looks like this.
Yep.
So the CPC project to restore the town cupola requires a sign, as you guys know. There's currently a 24 by 18 bronze plaque outside of here that includes all the past CPC projects, but not the cupola. So there's still funds remaining. There's 8,000 left. And we need to figure out like the size and material and placement of a sign for this.
Take the other one down and bring it and then come back with it, or you can come and do it here.
Wait, what?
No, that one is done. We wouldn't
It's
add
done.
to it because it's bronze and it was,
It was
I was
called,
just trying to see, I was just trying
Yeah.
to, my project over here, how that would work. Okay.
right, so we need to figure out what do you want to do? For a
So,
sign?
we could just have a small wooden sign that said, cupola on this building, historic cupola, it could be anywhere. It could be inside the building. We could put some photos on it, just a little sign acknowledging it, and maybe we could even get some photos of it and say this is it, or do a little summary, or we need to do something for it. That's the thing about, that's why we talked about the adding on at the Gilman Waite and like at Dwelly Farm, if you see their sign, they kind of have a sign that kind of talks of the flavor of what's been done, and then say projects funded in 2018, 2019, 2023. So that works.
You don't have to go back and get more signs.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
they left some room, so we just have to come up with something, and I don't know, our standard, this has been kind of like everybody's
Yeah.
seen the.
Yep.
The
That's
scout
kind of what
hall.
I kind of drafted.
Yeah.
And I attached the invoice from the bronze plaque. That's how big it is and that's how much money it is. So you have 8,000, you're not even going to get anything that big, but you could consider getting another bronze plaque, but getting it smaller and maybe having them screw it into the brick, on the
Well, I'm almost
building.
starting to think like have it inside so people will actually look at it.
Get a small bronze one and have it inside too.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be that, like you said, so if I.
It doesn't have to be that big. It's just one project out of many.
$800 or something.
But what would be nice is if we did this, and we'd have to ask the selectmen if they would allow for it, but to get a couple of photos, because nobody can really even,
See the
notice it
cupola.
much.
Okay.
And maybe the vendor took some photos or something.
I think I might have one,
You could do.
Bob. I'll look. Photos of cupola.
Get the frame and do the, like this, you don't even need a
The
frame,
mat.
you could just put this in there with the pictures and a frame and put that.
Yeah, as long as it has the proper language,
you
it could be
That, yeah.
a cardboard box with the
The couple of
magic
pictures.
marker.
And now we're good to go, right? So how much is that? How much is a frame, like a nice little good frame? I mean, that would be lovely.
Or we could ask the high school if their art classes want to design something for us.
That'd be lovely.
Be laser printed.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know what we're gonna do with all these suggestions, but
What are
we're gonna have to.
what are you
come up
having me
to
do?
I think we're gonna have to ask Jessica to come up with.
Well, so I wrote down to try to find a photo of the cupola, but I mean, when Bob gets back, what do you want me to have him get you guys like a quote for?
Just like a couple, we want a couple of pictures to go with
Yeah.
some kind of writing in some form to go.
And put up
and ask
between
permission.
doors.
Well, like material wise, there's the bronze plaque that's out here. We have the one that went over, Scout Hall. What was that? Like a,
Like a laminated wood.
yeah, something like that.
Well, my point about having it inside is then you don't have to be so weatherproof.
Yeah.
Maybe you do in this building.
Is that okay with
Because
the
you can
act
just
that's
get like
inside?
Oh, yeah,
You can get like,
because the public has access to this building, so.
Okay.
It might be more
you
meaningful,
can
have
get
it
like
with
a
the other
trophy
sign.
plaque, like they have with
Outside?
the,
Have them like
With the
together?
other
like they do
Right.
inside, you can just get like a trophy.
Right.
plaque.
People are gonna read it, anything.
Yeah,
about
like
it.
that, you could get something like that in the back.
Yeah.
Jessica,
I'm sorry.
Something like that,
like
you
that. in
know,
the
that's
back, you
against
could
the
ju-
wall
you
there.
could Just get something like that, and that's not like, I don't know what the going rate is for, I used to know, but.
There goes something like this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that, and then if you could have an insert with the picture, you can do a picture insert and those kind of things.
Yeah.
They sell them.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you would want like,
that on the, yeah, and then do like a
Do that,
insert
and
for
then,
a
like, put a
picture
picture?
and yeah,
something?
Yeah, and if you had it before and after, that would be great too, but,
even just the bin on.
What do we call this? What's this?
Well, that's,
a plaque.
that's a standard athletic plaque.
Okay,
you don't want an athletic plaque.
No, but you can put anything on these plaques.
so it's like a wooden plaque
Yeah.
with,
You know, who would
So-
help you is Sharper Image, because they do a lot of that kind of work. And
Okay.
they also print that stuff on it. And they might have the ones, because they used to have them where you put the team picture, so you could do a cupola picture instead of, yeah.
okay,
Now, is that still the same person running Sharp Image?
No, it's a new Brian. The new owner is Brian too.
Oh, okay.
Brian.
Was that a
I
requirement?
heard it was sold, but I was glad to hear that they're still open.
Oh, yeah, he's really nice. He just did a bunch of stuff for us.
So, and Dennis's point is that we may want to have it outside, so there should be, more rugged, if that's to be the case.
Well, if people are gonna stop and read a sign, they probably should read the whole.
so why don't I just do both? I'll go to Bob and I'll say, can I get a quote for a small bronze plaque?
And you
That would-
figure out where
that-
it's gonna go,
That
Bob.
would just fit this, and it would go somewhere outside near the other one. And also I'll ask for and look for something that's like a wood plaque, with a photo.
Right.
And we'll see what the price difference is and we can kind of discuss.
We
it.
may, and frankly, just like at
Oh,
Grange
yeah,
Hall,
ask permission. If we could hang it too. inside.
right, we'll have to ask, but, one of the nice things about the Grange Hall, having two plaques, one's on the side of the building, one is inside, that actually gives you historic information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's all within the scope of a historic preservation project.
Right.
So if we had somebody that had like a little description and a small thing that we put inside for people that are loitering inside when they're waiting
Yeah.
to vote, and then have another one that's out there as the
Yeah.
form, it's not a huge amount of money for that second one.
No.
I mean, to your point, I see people read the stuff inside more than I see them read the stuff outside.
But a lot of times they're waiting.
All right, so
All
let
right,
me,
we'll revisit this.
yeah, let me reach out to Bob when he gets back from vacation and try to see if I can get some information mock-ups or financial on both, and then we can bring it back up, so.
Okay, are there any other items that we would like to discuss related to current projects?
Did we go through the list or did we not?
We had anecdotally spoken about many of the things, and now's the chance for anybody that wants to.
I I think we should go through it because this would probably be our time to close anything, and there was one that Brian gave you permission to close,
Oh, okay.
Right.
right? No?
Yeah.
I mean, we should
Well-
probably do that under current.
What was it again?
So,
The drapes
Oh,
and,
no, not the drapes. So The
Nope.
drapes are not done yet.
Nope.
It's
drapes
still
and lift keep open.
yes,
Yeah.
drapes and
What
lift
was
keep
the one
open.
to close- we can close?
The bathroom.
Oh, we should make a motion to close the bathroom one.
What's that?
And the lift, right, or not?
No.
No, just the
Just
bathrooms.
Open.
Just the
Close.
bathroom.
Range bathrooms. Candace, did you make that?
Yeah, I make the motion to close the bathrooms at the Grange.
Second.
project.
Jiggle the handle.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion was made and seconded to close out the one that ends 0064 Grange Hall bathrooms, which should have a balance of about $10,717.48. Once we're, assured that no other expenses are forthcoming, which
Nope.
we've gotten from the
Yep.
proponent. Any
Second.
discussion on that?
Second.
Seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. We'll do a roll call vote, starting with Candace.
Yes.
Carrie.
Yes.
George.
Yes.
How about yes? Dennis.
Yes.
Yes.
George and Joanne.
Yes.
Okay, so we will close that out, and then that money would revert back to the fund from whence it came.
Yep.
Which, it could have been the general unbudgeted, or it could have been the historic. I don't remember, but it's in the article.
It would be under the breakdown sheet that was pulled from the accountant.
Okay, I mean, basically, it'll, in whatever is in the article from 2023 is, the source. And it could be a split. Okay, because there are gonna be some other ones that we will be able to close, in the coming months, once we get the sign figured out for the tennis courts, finish off the cupola. The drape will be done soon. He's just putting some dressings onto the drape. The drape looks great. The stage up there is wonderful, so they'll probably have some kind of a hoo-ha thing in the spring.
I want to point out, if you're looking at your project sheet, that's the one that's horizontal that has all the breakdown in it. I just want to point out, if you look like 3-4 rows down, that Baldwinville Elementary School one is now closed, so that makes it shorter as well. And Candace, is the tennis courts open with the $4,000 because of a sign?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's fine.
All
Yeah.
right, thank
We
you.
have to I just have to, like I said, to see if there's ones where we can have it.
Okay.
Added later, but I just think we probably won't.
Yeah, so as far as the Baldwinville Elementary School project goes, because we've got 4 different lines, we're just gonna keep zeroing them out as we go.
Yeah.
And once it hits 0, we don't have to vote on it, it just closes, because
Yeah.
there's nothing in it.
And Candace, do you have any update for me on Houghton Park?
Oh, yeah, she's going to, it's gonna go to bid, shortly. And then the goal is to have, so that the work can be done starting in the spring. So we should be able to
Okay.
close it out once, and it shouldn't take, I mean, we predicted that it'll be done probably before the
I've
summer.
only gotten one invoice for the paving. I haven't seen anything else, so.
No,
Okay.
yeah, so she has to do the swings and all that stuff.
Yep.
And go up to bid for that.
Okay,
And that, and Graceland told me that they were working on it and it was gonna be put out within the, this, month, within the
Okay.
month. And then, cause their goal was to, get that and then have the scope of them working on it during the spring and get it done so we can, cause we wanna go for another grant.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, then is that it for current projects? Any others that you want to discuss or questions about?
Well, to answer your question, the Grange Hall was under historic resources.
Okay,
So that will go back to that bucket.
very good.
Are we done with the Stonebridge conversation?
I'm done
Just-
with it.
We're just gonna leave it open for another, and if we get more
We
information.
gotta,
we'll
yeah,
provide it.
we should reach out to the committee and see what they're, if they want
Very good.
clarification,
Awesome.
if you could let Adam know. Let
Yes.
them know that we're more than happy to talk to them.
Yes, absolutely. Very good.
Okay, so under potential projects, you see we have a long color-coded list. The first one is the Narragansett School softball fields project. They haven't got an application together yet because, and I asked them for a letter specifically because we're trying to loop Phillipston in on the project. We've been down there and had a look at they've done some initial work already, getting the site ready if you're at the high school, it's to the south end. They own a bunch of land they've leveled off. They did a nice job preparing it. but the goal is to put softball fields in there for the girls. They've been getting cost estimates. They don't have them all together, but they should have them soon. They had estimated around $150,000 for the project. Of course, being a regional school district, typical expenditures would be split between the communities of Templeton and Phillipston. Phillipston also has a community preservation committee, and so we reached out to Peter Traversiana, I believe is his name, to just try to schedule a meeting so that they could get up to speed on what this project is, to see if it's something they might support. And then we would, if this was to become an article for this town meeting or to a special town meeting in the fall, we would try to, find out what the costs are, and then the cost sharing is typically 80-20. So if there was $150,000, then we would ask the citizens of Templeton for $120,000, and Phillipston would ask for $30,000. And if they don't get in, we only go up to third base. So we're halfway to home.
Do you want me to read the letter for record, or do you?
Everybody has a copy of the letter. Yeah, go ahead, read it.
Okay. This is from Chris Cassavant, Superintendent of Schools. I am writing to respectfully request funding assistance from the Community Preservation Committee to help complete a much-needed project at the Narragansett Regional High School. Our school, which serves both middle and high school students, has long faced an inequity that I hope to address with your support. Our girls' softball team is the only varsity team at the school that is required to travel to another location for games and practices due to the lack of dedicated home field. Since the school's opening in 1959, the girls' softball team has never had a home field on campus, which places a burden on our athletes, coaches, and families. This lack of a home facility is not only inconvenient, but also creates significant logistical challenges and inequities when compared to the other varsity teams that enjoy home fields on school property. Providing the girls' softball team with a dedicated field will promote equality and enhance the overall experience for our student athletes. In addition to creating a softball field, the proposed project will include the development of additional practice fields for other sports teams at the school. These fields will also be available for use by local residents, benefiting the entire community. The school owns 4.5 acres of adjacent property that is ideally suited for the project. We have already contracted to have the property cleared, stumped, and leveled, and substantial progress has been made in preparing the site for the development of the fields. At this stage, we have incurred the initial expenses for clearing and leveling the land. However, we are now seeking financial assistance to complete the project, including the construction of the softball field and additional practice fields, including an irrigation system. We are hopeful that the CPC funds will allow us to finish this critical work and provide our students and the community with a valuable recreational resource. Your support of this project will have a lasting impact not only on the girls' softball team, but also on the other athletic teams in the wider community. We are committed to seeing this project through to completion and are excited about the opportunities it will provide for future generations of student and town residents. Thank you for considering our request.
Very good, thank you. Yeah, so there we are with that. We'll obviously have more to follow and to talk about that next month. We will, I know we've heard from Rick Moulton, the grounds person, and he's pulling all the figures together so that they'll have an actual application to submit. And then we will reach out to Phillipston to talk about, I will go to, or somebody can go to their meeting, or, just to kind of see what the flavor is, if they're interested in participating as well. They certainly seemed interested, but, and so let's move on then, unless anybody else has anything else on the Gansett thing.
Town budget have any obligation to contribute to this?
They could, if they put it in their budget, they would. I mean,
We already have 3 softball fields in the town.
I think at the last or 2 town meetings ago, the town took 400,000 from the operating budget and gave it to the school to meet their requirements. Wasn't that at the May one?
Yeah.
So,
For it, so we had to take it into.
I think even originally they were supposed to be contributing to Gilman Waite because they were using it.
well, there's still no dollar amount on that interest, so.
right, we
No
will
doubt.
certainly, we probably, should have a discussion with the select board and perhaps with the school committee. I don't know. And also, understanding, what Phillipson's role could be in this project, it is something that we are obligated to consider.
Yep.
And discuss, which we will be doing until, it's over, whether it's us or them or whatever. Obviously, I mean, there could be some way that they could find other funding or this, that, or the other thing, but we know how budgets are and whatnot, so there we are with that one. We've got a series of project requests from Parks and Rec, so let's move on to those. Candace, do you want to run with these?
Yeah, so the green one is the softball field replacement. We already brought it to you, but you asked us to go back and get more quotes on fencing and so forth. So we did that. The added piece, the original fencing quote, for, the original we gave him that one, he stands by his, the dugout. The company for the dugout increased it, quite a bit to, what was it, 14,000. Over $14,000 per dugout. Which is substantial because it was under $10,000, the original quote. That has changed dramatically since we got our original quote on that. The fencing needs to be done. We put it back in through capital again so that they understood there's an issue with the fencing. They recommended, they're recommending that it gets done, but obviously they have limited funds and free cash this year, so it won't be something they could take up in the next several years. But everybody agreed it needed to be done. We also went to the public. There's another application, which is the dirt process. They would like to see the dirt replaced in the 3 fields because of it's only sand, it's not the corrector, and so we also put that, I gave you that application as well.
Let's slow down just for a second here and specifically start with the green one. It's 85,500. Now I see that.
It's gonna be like 122.
So,
So we see it's 14,300 for the dugouts, and I see
Yeah.
$65,000 from the
I
fencing.
agree. Where's your other number?
79,000.
There was another fencing company, but if you look at the quote on it, they said 33, but if you look at it, they talk about 3, and I didn't catch it until recently, they talk about 3 of the backstops, they don't talk about the wing fencing on the sides, unfortunately.
But can you just help us with the
Oh, I see.
breakdown?
So 33,000 from Vermont Recreational.
Yeah, those are the 3 kits for the back end. This, what do you call it, the backstop, they're not talking about the wings, and they did 3 of them, which is, I don't know how that happened, how that miscommunication.
So, for clarification, so it's not a request for 85,500, but it's a request for 14,300 plus 65,000 plus 33,000, so it's around 113,000.
Well, it would be the request for 14 for the kits, so it'd be 122. I believe that's the number one, I think I wrote it down here. So you're looking at 4 dugouts at $14,300.
Yep.
And you're looking at the $65,000 would take care of the fence for all
Yeah.
the 2 fencing plus the wing added to the field 2.
Yep.
That added piece. So you're looking at if my math is right, we would be looking at $122,200.
So you're saying 14,300 is for all 4 dugouts, that's not per
No,
dugout.
it's per dugout.
Okay, so it's
14,300
56,000.
Per dugout, right. So this project could be divided in,
All right.
we could just take care of 1 field at a time as a
Mm.
town. We could do it as a, you know what I'm saying?
So 14,300 times 4
Yeah,
is 57,200
correct.
plus 65,000
Yeah.
is 122,200, and that's what you're saying.
That's what I
the
said. Yeah,
request would
that's
be.
what the project now goes.
And where
up
was
to.
the 33,000 from
The
then?
$33,000 is from the Vermont company, and that is for, that was supposed to be the quote, to get another quote on the fencing, because they said it was high. So we went to them, we told them what we wanted, and they kept on dwelling on the backstop, and I guess somewhere, if you look at the quote, if you read it, it doesn't talk about the same things as the other, was it Johnson? I can't remember.
Yeah, Johnson.
Johnson, Johnson talks about the wing size. And, but they only talk about 3 kids. I don't know why they're talking about, like, it's almost like they're replacing the backstop at, on the third one.
Okay, so you got 2 quotes for the fencing and the
Yeah.
$65,000 one has what you were looking for. So it's a better estimate of what the project would likely cost when it goes out to bid.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, last 2 pages of it.
So I'm
Okay.
updating that from 85,500 to 122,200.
Correct,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Okay, let's move
Thanks.
on to the next one, which is the pink.
What?
Pink by the skate park.
Skate park, okay, so. All right, well, the skate park, and I want to explain just for a second, so we put all of these individually, but our goal is to have the town, grant writer go through it again, and we're gonna want to do, this has to do with the master plan.
Okay.
Okay, so we wanted you to see the options, so we put the skate park as a separate project. We believe that the skate park, if we were to go with the option the company gave us and went based on the space and the master plan of where that basketball court was as original, we booked it out for it. So we only have, the space of,
And we're talking about the skate park would be at Houghton Park.
right, Green Park, it's part of the master plan. So this would be stage 2 of the master plan. Okay?
Yep.
Okay, so in the master plan, the space for the skate park, we would be at the 80 by 40%, which is based on $50,000 for the equipment to put and about where the, oh, I have it written down. It's about 25 to $30,000 for the pad that it would go on. I have a picture.
So, let me, if I could, so if you look on the back of it, what she says is listed as the total project cost. So what we see here is the total project cost would be from $350,000 to $600,000, but we
Right.
would seek another of those park grants,
Right,
which is what,
Okay, that's right.
79%?
if 70%, so our town would be 30%, they would be set on the 70. So we're not going that high, that's like a fancy one, based on the master plan and what the designer, did the master plan. The space that we'd be filling is the space of percentage of the 80 by 40. So we only have about 80 by 40, 80 by 50% space to fill. And based on, we talked to the skate park folks. They went through all the different versions and whatever, and based on what we can afford, this is what we feel like could fit. So I have pictures of mock-ups. What we could, so one is like a zoomed in of the piece of equipment, and then the other one is what that money. Where we project it'll cost about $100,000 to do, if our town was to take, to do some of the prep work. For the skate park alone, so we'd probably conservatively say $125,000 for the skate park.
So-
When my assistant went through, she called, we did the meeting and they gave us, so when the application went in, it was just showing you what, what a high end.
High-end would-
Yeah, version, what we feel like a small skate park, something that's affordable for our town based on the master plan.
The skate park they have.
And so this,
This one?
where does
No, the one that had
the skate
tennis
park
court,
fit
tennis court.
versus where it has been recently
They
paid?
never used it. I think.
So-
And how you say?
We had the skate park up at East Temple, up at Temple Center.
I'll have to just-
How many kids? are-
I'll just
Never
make you.
used it.
So you guys
Have you
can-
done a survey as to the projected use of a skate park?
Yeah, so you can see the skate park is right up here, and that's the ball field there. So this is the Hoot Park, master plan that we paid for. The skate park is something that the residents of the town have been asking for many, many years. Many of our commissioners have been approached about the skate park, so that's why in the master plan it was originally, we had started with a basketball court and we looked it out at the last minute to the skate park.
That's
Because that's what we
right.
were-
They had a
Temple.
We already have a basketball
Never
court.
used that
And
for
so
a
we were
while.
asked by various residents to pursue the skate park version, since that was something that the town had promised the youth in the town at some point, we were told.
So one discussion on that. So if we were to go forward with a skate park and say that the times change and now we don't have skate park interest. Is that, what else could that space be used
So,
for?
all of this equipment is put on there, so it can be taken off at any point. This is why this is the best option. They have the ones that are cement and they like, you ever see them? They're like, so the cements are only guaranteed for a year and they're forms and they go up and around. You traditionally see it. This style, a lot of the towns will go to because this is something that we can uninstall if we had to and make, so this pad could be made into anything. You could use it for any other recreational need you needed. So it doesn't limit the town to be stuck with something that in so many years. But the equipment the equipment on this particular model is $50,000 for the equipment with the installation. That's what the installation that the company gave us. Then, so your pad is your added piece on that, and then, puffing it out and putting all that in it, so, we estimate, but this is something that the grant writer, Graceland will go after to get us more, to nail it down better, so we wanted just to give this application as the first step to show you what we're looking at possibility for that park based on that master grant, master plan that we had voted for as, as a town to have designed. So our goal is to have, to honor the master plan and try to go, so our phase, for us, our stage 2, and that's why I like to kind of jump a little bit, is to do the skate park. We hope to go with the skate park and the ball fields, and I'll explain that to you, and then do one application with skate park, ball fields, ask for the money to go for the match grant, is what our ultimate goal is, and that's what, but we wanted to show you, because we brought it into capital one piece at a time, so everybody could see what, these things cost, and the need to go to the next levels. It takes a long time to get all this stuff, so it's like you're sitting there, like, we don't want to miss the opportunity to capital, and once we did capital, we just flipped out the applications and put them into here. So you
Yeah, no,
guys
this
can
is
see.
appropriate to get the
Yeah,
ball
because we
rolling.
wanted to show you, but our ultimate goal is to do one application for the ball field and the skate park together, and to go for that grant in 2025 when they release it. We don't know in 2026, will there be another opportunity for a match grant? We can't assume as a town that, because we don't run the grant people, anything can happen in life, but we don't, and I talked to the Graceland about this, and she agreed that we don't want to miss this opportunity because we are not guaranteed another, we know that the grant is definitely coming this year, and it will be released in the next month or two, and it will be open until the end of July, and we don't as a town, you're looking at,
Softball field.
if you're looking at $200,000 or $250,000 to do the project, which we did, then you're looking at, them putting up 175,000, versus we're putting up, the 75,000, you know what I mean? That's a lot of money, $175,000 the town could get in a grant.
Yeah, definitely want to pursue a grant. Now Dennis had a question.
Yeah,
How feasible would this be to be converted to a pickleball court, say, or something, tennis court or something else?
yeah.
My experience with skate parks is they're kind of no longer a very popular.
Well, the
activity.
Hubbardston one, I go down 68 quite a bit, and there's a skate park type thing at that big recreation field on 68 in Hubbardston.
Yep.
And I quite often see kids out there, using it.
So this company we got through Leominster's Parks and Rec. We talked to them, they offered to give us a tour, they have their project took many, many years to get. It's used all the time. The skate park is a culture now, it's a lot different than you see before. It's there, Fitchburg is giving lessons and they're doing, programs with the little ones, so parents that were, hardcore skaters are now bringing their babies in to learn how to skate. It's becoming a family-oriented process in many of it, and people are going from town to town looking for the skate park and the space to go, so that is very, Hubbardston just did one. They just put one not long ago in, so the culture is there, it always will be there, and it is another recreational fulfillment that we'll be fulfilling in the town, an opportunity for the residents to have. We do,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and since we want to go through all of these and we
Yeah.
do, this is just the first pass through. We're not voting on anything tonight, but we're getting it out
Expect
there.
that, Yeah,
Candace, it sounded like what you were saying, it wasn't gonna be that high number,
what number?
the 600,000.
50 to 600.
No, we're looking at the whole project.
Okay.
With the ball field. Me,
Okay.
and based on all of our conversations,
Okay.
me and my assistant Rachel, we comfortable saying we think it's gonna be in the ballpark about $250,000 to do both of them. If we can get, so, I mean, and I'll talk about that when I get to
Okay.
the ball field and I'll explain what.
Okay, let's go to the next one then on the list, which is the blue part, the softball field. So that's at Gilman?
So this one is this is the dirt project.
Yeah,
Infield mix.
So this is the infill mix. This is the residents asked us to bring this project to capital in front of you. To show that they feel as though, and they're correct in saying this, that the dirt inside Gilman Waite and each one of those ball fields is incorrect. It doesn't drain like you typically see in this particular mix. They get a lot of puddles and stuff, but it's also the sand. We get sand and it blows around everywhere and gets in everybody's eyes. So this is what all the other, this is what you typically see, like Westminster has it up in theirs and other communities have. So this is the mix that they would like to see it replaced at some point at Gilman Waite. So we brought this project to show you,
and does the high school will be using the field in the current coming year?
yes, and then the high school, and the thing about it is, I don't know what, in that project they're talking about, if they're planning on doing that mix or not, if they're doing the sand or not. But all I know is the current one that they're using, and I've been told by the superintendent, they have no intention of, I don't know what they think, they haven't told Parks and Rec what their plan is. But they don't have any intention of not having the kids up there, the girls up there using the current.
Well, I would assume that they're gonna, because they're obviously not gonna be done with whatever
Right.
they
So,
build.
but yeah, so right now we have sand and we get a lot of wind up there and it blows in everybody's eyes. It goes into the concession stand, it gets in the bathrooms, it gets everywhere.
Yeah, so I'm not arguing that it's not needed. This might be something we'll need to investigate further because it might be considered maintenance. I'm not sure. if
Okay,
it's-
we weren't sure, but we just wanted to bring, since this is the application that we did. with
Yeah.
Capital, we wanted to bring it forward.
No, that's,
So, yeah.
yeah, so
But
we'll
this
do a
is-
little
yeah.
research because it's just changing the field mix as opposed to changing the
Right.
field.
Right.
You know, the dugout, you know, because how long is this mix good for? Or when do you have to
Well, they would scoop all the sand out and then they would
Put
replace
this
it with
in
the new, yeah.
new mix, but then what? They're gonna have to redo it again every X number of years or?
No, it's supposed to last, as long, I mean, you probably have to put a little bit of fill on top because things, disappear
Right.
after years, eroded, from rain and this and that. But the bulk of it should be standing, just like the sand we have. We go in and we put a little bit of sand added to the sand that we currently have.
Okay, and we are gonna need to get prioritization when we do come to a vote on these things because, what are the top priorities? Because,
Right.
funds are gonna be limited.
Right.
So let's move to the orange one then, the Houghton Park ball field, baseball field.
Okay, so this is the one that we feel like this, so if we were to honor the master plan and we would just say stage 2, for us at the commission, we feel like stage 2 would be the skate park and the ball field combined. We feel like stage 3, where we're looking at the Heroes Park aspect, and that would be something we're going to be looking. I just wanted to let you guys know that we plan on the next 2 years looking and presenting something on that. And we're praying that we can get a grant or something, a grant situation for that. But that's why we didn't include it in the next phases. So we feel like based on our T-ball fields, that the DPW cuffed out for us and they put in all the sand and everything for us. And then they took the fencing down for the skate park and so a lot of that work we feel like possibly could be done in-house. And that would be something that Grayson would work and talk to Bob about and see, how much of that could be done. So if that was the case, if you look in the application, we have a company that gave us a lot of breakdowns on funding, what different things cost. This Mountain View, and they give you like what what things would cost. An outfield fence would cost, a backstop would cost, the foul pole. If we were to go like a foul pole fanciness. Cause this is gonna be a very small, if you look at our master plan, this is a small, ball field.
What is the age group that would
An
be
irrigation
intended?
system, we probably wouldn't be doing, so we feel like comfortably to say that the ball field probably could be done within like $100,000, we think. So we think that the project with the skate park could probably be in the bracket of $250,000, but we won't know until Graceland can run.
$250 for the town or $250 total?
Total, so then the match grant would be 70%, right? We went through the application, so we were looking, what was it, 100, I had written it down, 100 and, I have the breakdown somewhere.
175, 175.
175 and yeah,
And
they would
75.
pay and we would pay 75,000. But we would have to, as a town, vote to say all of it. And then we get the 100, that's how the match grant
Right.
work, right,
Just as it is in the current one.
right.
And so what is the age group that you would be looking for the ball field to cover? This is like Babe Ruth or
Yeah, it would be the Babe Ruth, the smaller, like your.
above Little League though?
I think that the distance to the houses and the property, because hits too far would probably not be feasible for that. This would be more for the younger age, which the
Oh,
play,
T-ball.
yeah,
So
T-ball,
Little League.
yeah.
I mean, we got all
T-ball.
these Little League fields.
Yeah, T-ball they have, so the bigger ball fields, are being more, there's not a lot of space for the little ones. So this would free up some of the bigger spaces where they're taking, using the space, and then we would have more space. Right now, we currently have 3 softball fields and only one, that the middle school is using, the baseball field at Gilman Waite. So this would give us another baseball field on the property for the smaller kids. And we already have, I forgot, and we have our cute little T-ball field in Gilman Waite too, so this would be another aspect for the working years.
Is this for one ball field as shown on the master plan?
Yes.
And is it infield mix like you talked about in the previous application?
It could be, or we could go with the sand, it depends on what we could get for funding.
The sand's going in people's eyes.
Yeah, so we would probably go with the mix, which was already in the breakdown of the original, but I figured out in the math and that, but. So the fences, you're only getting one kit, so $68,000, you're gonna break that down, divide that by 2. And then you're gonna take out a couple $1,000 because of the wings on the,
Okay.
on the other one. And then you're looking at, if it's in-house and we take care of the fence, take it out on the old fencing, and if we were to cup out. Like they did for our T-ball, if
Mhm.
we were to cup out those areas and that baseline, that would save us significantly, so that's a
If the
matter.
town did labor.
Yes.
Yep.
So if we did that, that's where my numbers didn't include that, but yes, I did include the ready mix into it.
Okay.
But that's
Okay.
everything.
Thank you.
And we're gonna be talking about this next month and
Oh, yeah.
and afterwards, but I think what I'm hearing anyway
I
is
just,
that.
we want to show you what things cost.
is
And
that-
what
so,
the needs are and what the master plan is and and the other safety issues we have at Gilman Waite that need to be addressed.
And I'm glad that you mentioned the master plan, but I'm glad you're referencing too, that the Heroes Park is part of that plan and that,
Yeah,
we're
that
gonna
would-
hear something from, whatever efforts are being made from the
Yes.
veteran side, et cetera. But
We're
getting
praying
back
that
to
there'll
your
be another match
articles,
grant at some point to get, and we want to work with the veterans to come up, because that's gonna take time, like at least a good year to talk to them and if there's any funding they can find in the veterans end for that. And so that's why
And
we
that
want to
is
give at least
also-
a year to 2 to go to that.
if I could just interject here, don't forget that there's other people that can help with the discussions. If you've got a lot on your plate, you're organizing all these different projects and things like that. We could talk to, try to have the discussion separately and report back to you on the veteran side of it,
Right.
by talking to our veterans agent, if that's something that you would be open
Yeah, we
to.
would love all the help for that, but like I said, we already, as a commission, we knew that we wanted to go for the ball field and the skate park, because that's in the back section. And then, we really want the heroes, but we know with the Vietnam Memorial, that's gonna take a long time to come up with the funding for that. So, and there's a couple other memorials, so that's gonna be a long funding process with Mr. Brios looking into doing. So we want to give them time to be able, because when we do it, we want to be able to, do it right and find the funding right. And, we feel like it's gonna take a year to two to put all those pieces together for the, for the veterans, that are gonna be, like Mr. Burrito has been,
Okay, so let's just say going forward regarding these projects that you have, I think it would be helpful if you do, kind of consolidate and come up with the numbers. So doing an application that includes both the ball field and the skate park, but it identifies the costs of each one and also could list what the in-kind contributions might be from the town.
okay.
Just to
yeah.
kind of tweak
Yeah.
it a little bit more as we have these discussions and likewise, I'll look into this infield mix thing to see if that would be an allowed type activity and clearly the dugouts project, coming up with the firm figure on that. I'm glad to hear you're working with Graceland and it's great to have her on board. Anybody else want to speak any?
Yeah, now I'll reorder the agenda so your two Gilmans are next to each other and your two Houghton Parks. Sorry
Okay,
about
that'd be
that.
perfect, yeah. So, but that way, it's like I said, I told Grissom that I was going to put it at CPC to start the conversation.
Yeah.
And I told her we were just gonna take these in the way we did it. And I sent her everything so that she could start looking at it, but she has to wait for Bob to come back and stuff and go through it, but ultimately, we both agreed that we don't wanna wait we don't wanna pass out a good opportunity to get another grant like we did. And be able to start, and we know that the money will come back in from the other grant, but we also don't wanna miss the opportunity to put the application in, to know that, because they're gonna ask us, where do we have funding for it, So that's where we're at with that.
Great, okay, thank you. So let's move on then to any other comments that anybody have. Item 7 on the agenda is, I have no comments to add, but if anybody had anything or any other thing related to, I guess, potential projects first. I know Mike will be back next month, and so we'll probably talk again about emergency management building. Because that's moving forward towards the engineering study. I know there had been discussion from the team of folks about wanting to maybe have something on the annual for that. We'll see where that goes. Did anybody else have any comments they wanted to make?
Just a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry, Dennis, go ahead.
Mike also wanted to talk about the survey of the town common. Also, that's another.
That's right, yeah. Thank you for reminding us for that. So the Templeton Improvement Committee and the common, et cetera, et cetera. So we are gonna talk about the needs analysis meeting, which is gonna be coming up in 2025. We'll just talk about the stuff more. Joanne?
Graceland put in the application for the dam removal preliminary design services. So we'll just be waiting to hear back, for the article.
Great. We're hopeful that that would help us with that, because that would move that forward to make a great recreation area. Anything else? Anybody else wanna weigh in about? Hearing none, the next time you'll see is the next needs analysis meeting discussion. We need to have our annual needs analysis. I think we did it in January of last year, so I think what we did was had it like prior to, so an earlier start.
Yep.
So we would open up the needs analysis at 6 or 6:30 and then have our regular meeting at 7. Do you remember what we did?
I think we did 6 and 7.
So we would have to confirm that nobody's here at 6 o'clock on that February, either the January 9th or the February 13th. We do need to decide that because we're gonna have to post it in the newspaper for consecutive weeks. So if it's gonna be January 9th, she would need to get that into the Gardner News soon.
There is nothing else on the calendar for January 9th other than you guys at 7.
Are you guys open to having a 6 o'clock needs analysis meeting prior to our 7 o'clock?
If it compares to last year, we probably ought to go for
You think
6:30.
ours is not.
Oh, you want to go for
much, but
6:30?
You didn't have anybody in town, really.
We had one person, I think. I think
Yeah,
there
we
was
have ours.
one person.
Oh, did we
Yeah.
represented something?
No, just was curious.
Oh, just curious, but didn't present anything,
Right.
that's what I meant.
But we still had plenty of time at 6:30 with even
Yeah.
somebody.
Okay, so, and then, well, what we could do is we could if we were having a lively discussion, we could just roll into the 7 o'clock time and start our CPC meeting later,
Yeah,
if that's legal.
Yeah, I think rather than have a lot of dead space.
Yeah, cause I feel like an hour seems like a long time based on last year, 6 minutes.
And if it's super popular, we'll have another one in February.
We could have one a month.
Okay, so I'm hearing that at 6:30 on the, and
Nine.
George isn't coming. You gonna come at 6:30?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay. All right, so.
I wish there were hours at 6:30.
Me too.
Well, we could talk about that. There's no farmer's market anymore, but, so we're talking about regular meeting. It will still be at 7, the needs analysis meeting at 6:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the meeting after that is February 13th. And the February 13th one is likely the date that we will vote for the articles. Because the warrants will be open sometime shortly thereafter. And so we'll work double check with the assessors on the projected revenue, reduce probably the anticipated match to 60, or, we'll look at the guidance from the coalition. Okay, anything else to come before this committee? Hearing nothing, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.